Right now, Bitcoin has seen a significant crash over the course of last night, and in this exact video, I will be talking about the reasons why we have been seeing this crash, but more importantly, I will be talking about the levels where we could be expecting Bitcoin is heading towards next. Is this currently a double bottom that we're creating, or are we even going to be seeing lower targets? I will be discussing all of it on today's update video, so don't forget to slap up that like button, because on previous video we smashed it back above 400 likes. Can we once again do it on today's update video? That will be absolutely incredible. And without any further ado, let's jump straight away in towards the content and let's start to be looking at the imminent short term for Bitcoin. Of course, yesterday we had some bad news that FTX seemed to be insolvent, and due to that reason the market tanked a little bit towards the downside. After FTX started to halt the withdrawals, we started to see that Binance was stepping in to help FTX with some financial problems. After that, the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market pumped significantly towards the upside, but just as we were pumping, we started to see the market fall towards the downside once again. And my expectation basically is that due to the reason the market pumped back towards the upside, we start to straight away see that FTX was pointing out here, peaking out around $22 once again here, and then the market tanked towards the downside significantly. In my opinion, it was very likely that at the point that Bitcoin was starting to be pumping again, FTX or Alameda Research was going to sell their funds off here, and due to that reason we once again start to see another significant drop, and FTX also even dropped as low towards levels as $3. So after that happened, Bitcoin revisited new lows around levels around 17.8k, not seen since basically 2020, and currently we can start to see that Bitcoin is starting to consolidate a little bit once again. On the 4-hourly time frame, I'm not necessarily expecting or seeing a very important level of support. I mean, if we're looking at the 4-hourly time frame, we're still holding on towards this range, right? We're still trading at the most important support level in Bitcoin, but we can clearly see the wick has been confirming a lower low than the previous low, and that is indicating that we're probably most likely going to be visiting lower lows for Bitcoin. That is the most likely scenario. Once again, this was actually quite a big of an event. One of the largest cryptocurrency trading exchanges was insolvent, and at the end of the day, Bitcoin only dropped from an approximately 20.8k towards 17.1k. So it's still a very big drop here, but actually I would have been expecting it's going to be having an even bigger cost and an even bigger effect on the market. Of course, the sentiment will definitely be switching bearish right now, and I do expect that in the coming week, depending also what is going to be happening with the CPI data that's going to come out tomorrow, we could be still expect that there's going to be a lot of volatility this week. Whether it's going to be up or down, it's hard to say right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin is going to be setting a new lower low. But if we're looking at the daily time frame for Bitcoin, I have been seeing some people start to say that Bitcoin is creating a double bottom. I mean, right now, indeed, we are confirming a somewhat of a double bottom here on the daily time frame. It is not my most favorite double bottom to be looking at, actually. And personally, I wouldn't take this as well as my main scenario. However, if Bitcoin does decide to be bouncing back above the previous high, that could be then a confirmation that this was actually a double bottom. Also, looking at the daily time frame, we can see that the previous resistance that you can clearly spot right here is once again providing significant support, and that is actually looking quite all right. You can see it also from our most important resistance slash support chart that Bitcoin, of course, dropped towards the downside, touched these very important levels around 17k, and this one around 18k, and both of them has been providing significant support for the market yet so far. The daily time frame for Bitcoin also was trading in a small little uptrend right here. We've been still holding on towards it. We've been closing the daily candle above it, and so far we're still trading above it. But of course, clearly yesterday, once we did broke below it, we fell down very quickly, but straight away we got bought back up towards levels around $18,000 again. As well, currently on the daily time frame for Bitcoin, we're starting to see that the MACD is crossing bearish on the daily time frame. That is of course not that weird to see after such a significant correction towards the downside. Historically speaking, if we do cross bearish on the MACD, I mean, last time around we consolidated for an approximately 4 or 5 days towards the upside and then had another swing towards the downside. Honestly, if we're going to be bearish or bullish from this point, I only think it's going to be likely to expect to see some volatility here on the daily time frame. Whether we're going to be breaking bullish or bearish, I only think it's likely to expect some consolidation here on the daily time frame. Whether it's going to be a bear flag or whether it's going to be some sideways price action, I only think it's going to be likely to expect some sideways price action for the Bitcoin chart right now. And also, if we look at the 3-day EMA ribbon here on the 3-day time frame, we can see that basically the EMA ribbon once again provided resistance, and like I've been talking about in the past, in the previous bear market, the 3-day EMA ribbon was basically the level that provided the significant resistance, and once we broke above it, That was the point that the bear market basically was over. But in the meantime, we got rejected quite a lot of times before we even broke above it, right? So once again, another rejection from the 3-day EMA ribbon. However, every day that will be passed, the lower the EMA ribbon will come, so the easier it's going to be in the future to actually break above the EMA ribbon. Currently it's trading around 23,000 US dollars, but on the 3-day time frame, we can also still see that we have been creating this downward sloping support line and this downward sloping resist line from the top side, approximately from here. So we're still trading in somewhat of an falling wedge pattern right here. We're still trading exactly in this pattern. So far, nothing has been changing. And as long as we're going to be holding up towards this downward sloping support line, of course, Bitcoin can still come down, but we do expect it's not necessarily going to be having that major crash where we are looking for. So while we do know that this major crash has been started by the FTT price action, we can see that basically FTT brought Bitcoin down significantly. Well, since it basically broke below $22, it fell down in a very rapid pace. And the reason why is also what CZ is currently pointing out here. CZ is giving us here two big lessons. Number one, never use a token you create as collateral. And since we knew that FTT was getting used as collateral by Sam, we did already expect that the FTT price action was probably going to dump below $10. And due to that reason, we basically had this massive sell-off in all markets. And due to the reason that FTT dropped below the $22, that was also basically the reason why they couldn't pay their clients anymore. Also, lesson number two, don't borrow if you run a crypto business. Don't use capital efficiently, have a large reserve. Binance has never used BNB for collateral, and we will never take on a debt. So the big lesson is never use your own created token as collateral. Because if you use your own token as collateral, you basically can see what will happen. You will basically have a massive crash towards the downside, and basically you obliterate all markets. Of course, we know that FTX yesterday dropped by an approximately 89 to 90% here, while Bitcoin, of course, only dropped an approximately 12%. However, still, it's not good for the market. The market probably will tank a little bit more in the coming days ahead of ourselves, since this news is still fresh in our heads, and FTX was one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges, and due to that reason, there will be a lot of panic across the markets. If you do want to be trading Bitcoin, I wouldn't recommend to be using FTX. However, I would recommend to check out BitGet, because BitGet allows you to trade from the US, and Bybit basically allows you to trade anywhere else in the world. So if you're interested in trading and you do not want to be using FTX, check out these exchanges. They're also offering insane deposit bonuses, and you can find them right now in the link in the description. Anyways, this was it for me on today's update video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.